Hi everyone, this is Mr. Chow from EnglishTuition.org. Now, as you know, the O-Levels results has just been released yesterday. So I guess it's storytelling time. I would just like to share a couple of quick stories based on my experiences. Now, for the year 2019, actually, I had two of my students who took the O-Levels. One is actually my ex-student. Now, the grade from my existing student, she just signed up with me for 1 year. And she actually just managed a pass, a C6 for her English. Now, bear in mind that a lot of the students who come to me, okay, they are actually not very strong in their language, and some of them actually has got these fundamental weaknesses in their languages, meaning that they are strong in some of the other subjects, but they are fundamentally weak in languages, right? And they find it a challenge to be able to do well or do better in the subject. Now, for this student, she actually started off quite well, but she has been struggling to get just a borderline pass, and is actually becoming a concern for her because the O-Levels is, as you know, is an important exam, and she really wanted to do well. But unfortunately, I think one of her weaknesses was that she did not have the endurance to go through the rigorous demands of the preparation phase, okay, up until her O-Levels. And one of the key differences between a student who just scored borderline passes and a student who is able to achieve higher grades, from my own observations, is that some of these students are more adamant about sticking to their own point of views, so they don't accept the teaching easily. So, for example, for this particular student, her weakness is in oral and in essay writing. And towards the end of the exam, we actually have a bit of time left, and I was always trying to get her to, do you want to do, more practices, because I really feel that, you could benefit from it. But because she doesn't like to do those oral practices, she just refused to do it. And she's not my first student that I've encountered who is very stubborn and very insistent, okay, on not following the teaching. All right. I think that's part of the main reason why they are weak in the language in the first place, because they never got to the point where they have a strong interest in the language. They never enjoy, engaging using English with other people. They never enjoyed writing, reading, okay, acquiring knowledge based on the books that they read. So they are always fighting, always very insistent, okay, and the end result is always not very optimistic, because ultimately they are the one who paid the price, right? Okay, it's not for me to keep writing essays, keep giving them model essays, because I'm not the one who needs to improve, right? They are the one who needs to practice. So they need to put in the effort, get the assignment done, listen to more closely to the feedback. And a previous student of mine, okay, who was very skeptical of my teaching. Now, these are usually students who come to me at the very last minute. In fact, I only get them for like 1 year. Last year, they are taking the important exam, and therefore they realize that they're running out of time, and they come to me, right? And it's very difficult for me to build up this trust with them, right? So I highly recommend that if you are a parent listening to this video and you're looking for a tutor, right, start early, right? Allow them to, the tutor and the student to build up this rapport. And when they are younger, it's definitely easier to teach, because they are not so stubborn. They are not at this difficult age where they have developed an independent mind, and then they are just trying out their own ideas, and then they are not listening to the teaching of the people around them. All right, I even had a parent who just outwardly just confessed to me that, Mr. Chow, you can do whatever you want with the student. You can tell her to do anything, right? We have given up. She just doesn't listen, right? And then they find themselves in this position whereby they are not happy with their results, and yet they are not willing to listen to any advice that are given by other people around them. So they continue on this path, and the results is always not very optimistic. Okay. As for the other student, he was actually my ex-student. I taught him for about a couple of years, but eventually I have to stop the lessons because of a change in schedule. And I believe that couple of years made a difference to his grades, right? Because for those who know my teaching, I like to start off, especially for the younger students, on building up a stronger foundation, right? Because as I teach O-levels and general paper, okay, I realized that many of them just don't have the foundation to take on or to learn more advanced writing techniques, right? So as we move on and discuss more about issues that can help them to cope and tackle those discursive or argumentative essays, I realized that they just don't have the language that is available to support them, right? So if I talk about the content, then their language, continues to be weak. So the students are unable to score both in the content department as well as in the language department. So the overall results usually is just maybe slightly better than a borderline pass, and they are unable to elevate their level of writing. So the students with the stronger foundation, are able, to learn the more advanced techniques, and they have the language to support them, and we don't have to go again and again back to this is grammar, what are adjectives, this is how you're supposed to use adjectives, adverbs, and that kind of thing, right? So we can focus on the writing techniques itself, the content part of it, right? These are the ideas, these are the issues, these are the points that I recommend that you make, and we can talk about that. Now for this particular student, because I've taught him for a couple of years, and I believe that he should be able to at least get a pass. Every student who goes into the exam has got a best case scenario and a worst case scenario. We never know what is going to happen. All right. So based on the student's caliber, his ability, his effort, whether he prepares hard for the exam, we usually kind of get a brief idea of what grades can be expected. All right. Of course, for the stronger students, even stronger students, the A1s are not guaranteed, right? So there's always a range, right? Best case scenario, maybe A1, right? And worst case scenario, because he continues to be very strong, maybe a B3, right? For this particular student, best case scenario for him, I predicted for him is B4, right? No matter what he did, he put in a lot of effort. But the good thing about him is that he is very, very, very hardworking, right? He's very good in maths, very good in science, score all distinctions for his math subjects, and score a B3 for all his science subjects, and he took triple science, right? But languages happen to be his Achilles heel. He has always been weak in languages, right? Both English and Chinese, right? So the best case scenario for him is B4, right? But when he got his results, he was very happy, right? Because for him, it's the best case scenario. In fact, he did better than the grade that he got during his prelims. So he messaged me, hi, remember me? He was very excited, and then he said, thanks for bringing up the level to his level of English to the secondary level, right? And I believe the foundation work that I've done with him, right, allowed him to sail through his school exams, and finally get a B4 in his O-levels examinations, right? Bear in mind that the difference between this student and a lot of the other students that I encounter is that this kid is really very hardworking, right? He values hard work, and he's always the head down, study, right? Just go, and he's not the type who always find excuses, for not getting their work done, and a good student, right? So hopefully we can learn something from these stories. The results that come back isn't always up to expectation, isn't always what we wanted, right? Sometimes there can be a bit of disappointment here and there, but bear in mind, for anyone who has not taken the O-levels exams and you're listening to these stories, right, let this be a warning, so to speak, right, that if you don't put in the effort, you don't put in the hard work, then you have to prepare yourself, right? This is the results, this is the consequence, right, that you have to bear. Are you okay with that? If you're not, then it's not too late to get started and to really put your head down, put in the hard work, and stop finding excuses for not mastering the subject. All right. And having said that, I believe I want to end this video by mentioning a few success stories that have been floating around. And let me start by quickly mentioning that there's this this student, who was so rebellious that he actually dropped out of school, right, and eventually had to go to ITE. But when he went to ITE, he kind of made up his mind as to what he wanted to do for his future. So he took up O-levels as a private candidate, right? And this story has a happy ending because he did so well in his studies that he was the first IT student to enter the NUS School of Medicine to study to become a doctor. Now, but having said that, this type of stories is the exception rather than the norm, right? This student probably was, he is intelligent to begin with, right? Just that he's straight for some reason, okay? But when he got off track, he was still able to deliver, all right? And then in just last year O-levels, there's this couple of stories that stood out. One boy was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia, okay, when he was in secondary 3, okay, and he had to stop 1 year of his school to go for chemotherapy and treatments and stuff. But he came back and took the O-levels, right, and he scored 6 distinctions out of 8 subjects, right? That's not an easy feat to accomplish by any stretch of imagination, all right? And then there's this story of a girl who was suffering from various health problems and had to miss most of his classes. In fact, I think she only attended, from news article, she only attended like 1 day of lesson a week because of this variety of health problems that she had to cope with. And she took the O-levels and managed to score 7 distinctions, right, from the O-levels. So, having heard the stories, these students have to face lots of adversity, right? But they managed to overcome the adversity. They did not give up, okay? They embodies the value of persistence and resilience, okay? And they did well for the O-levels, right? So, what excuses do the rest of the students have? So, I'm hoping that these stories can also serve as a point of inspiration. I'm going to leave all the links to these stories, to the news articles, okay? And then you can feel free to check it out and read the stories for yourself. So I'm hoping that these stories can serve as a reminder, okay, for many of the students who are going to take, some type of important exam. So it doesn't matter, right? PSLE, O-levels, A-levels, right? Just remember, right? If you are given this privilege, right, to pursue your education, and you have such favorable conditions, right? Your family can afford to send you for tuition, right? And give you the support that you need. Then what excuse do you have, right, for not doing your best? I'm not saying that everybody can score distinctions for all the subjects, right? But if you're not giving your best, then you're selling yourself short, right? My student who scored B4, he was happy, right? B4 wasn't an A grade. It wasn't a distinction, right? But for him, it was a major accomplishment, right? Because it has always been his weakest subjects. And he managed to get a B. That's his target, that's his goal. And he achieved this personal target. And I'm very happy for him, right? So congratulations to all the students who did well and get the results that you're after. And for those who did not, note that again, this is just a milestone similar to PSLE, right? It's not the end of the world. Just make sure to reflect, and then next time around, get whatever polytechnic course, tertiary education, A-levels, try to do better to achieve your own personal goals. Alright, that's all I have to say in this video. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon in the next video. Bye.